had a few people that had some trouble with this particular problem, so I'm going to make this video. I think the issue was that people were thinking that you could take this power and just simply put it out in front and then treat this like you would do the normal chain rule. However, what you have to realize here is that this function is actually a product of two other functions. This 6y squared is a function multiplied by another function. Okay, so we actually have a product here, and we've got to use the product rule on that. So product rule says, and in fact it's the product rule really combined with the chain rule, because this second function here is going to require the chain rule for its derivative. So remember what the product rule says. We take the derivative of the first function and multiply it by the second. So the derivative of the first function is 12y. Multiply that by the second function, 4y squared plus 5 to the 7/6 power, plus the derivative of the first function, the first function times the derivative of the second function. So here was the derivative of the first times the second. Now we're going to do the first times the derivative of the second. So that's the first function, 6y squared. Now this second function, that with the 7/6 power on it, that requires the chain rule. So to take its derivative, we have to put the 7/6 in front of it. So 7/6, leave the inner function alone. That's what the chain rule says. So that's the 4y squared plus 5. Lower this power by 1, and 7/6 minus 1 is 1/6. And then we have to multiply by the derivative of that inner function. That's going to be 8y. So times 8y, and then remember that the derivative of a constant is 0. Okay, now this can be simplified a little bit. The first part we'll just leave alone. That's just going to stay as is. So 4y squared plus 5 to the 7/6 power. And then all this stuff is all multiplication. Remember, multiplication is commutative, meaning we can move things around as we need to. There's a 6 in the denominator here. There's a 6 here. Those can cancel. We've got a y squared here. We've got a y here. And we've got a 7 still in the numerator, and then an 8. We're going to multiply those together. 8 times 7 is going to give us 56. Y squared times the other y over here gives us y to the third. And then this one we'll just copy, 4y squared plus 5 to the 1/6 power. And let's make sure everything's okay. So I think that's everything. So this is the most simplified form of the answer for this particular derivative.